Good morning, everyone. We're trying to set all of our. It is pretty hot, huh?
It is.
It might
hot.
be. It might be a short 10 talk today.
We decided to sit outside in nature today, and it's a little warm.
Oh, the best part is being here in person with you.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna share it to my. There we go. I know I didn't know that, but that the top cause of death from natural conditions or disaster is from heat.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
I know. I thought that was pretty intense. I'm like,
interesting.
because now the whole world is experiencing all this heat.
Oh, and the doggies in the background. With the neighbor doggies.
Okay, hold the sound. Okay. So this will show us if anybody hops on.
Oh, I said. Well, we have the beautiful sounds of nature joining us today.
I wonder how much they can hear it in the background.
Yeah.
I like your shirt.
Oh, I like yours too. Living the shackly life.
And then we're making healthy happen.
Oh my goodness.
Well, good morning, everyone out there, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah,
Friday.
The weeks are just passing by
They are.
so fast.
Like,
I know.
It is. I was talking to someone yesterday, the day before, and talking about how fast time flies, and I can't remember the whole conversation, but it came to as we get older, time flies faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not really moving any faster.
No, we're just more aware and conscious of our time,
and then we want to do so much and do so much.
All of our to-do lists and getting everything done, and all that good
and
stuff.
trying to get some sleep.
Yeah. Which is why we're here today, talking about sleep and all the little distractions we have in life and how it affects our physical and mental health and well-being, and really about how just our environment can affect us and our sleep habits.
Yeah, and our expectations that we put on ourselves, and also what others put on us. You know, like getting so much done, and some people don't need as much sleep, and I think that sometimes also has thrown me off in the back, because I remember my mom was like, oh, I only need 5 hours of sleep or 6 hours or whatever. I feel the best when I'm able to get a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Absolutely.
So I think that's part of what it's important to know, is to really understand ourselves and listen to our, like we've talked about before, our gut. You know, okay, yeah, maybe I would like to go with just 5 hours, but then how that impacts everything that I do. So it could be, it could look at okay, my mom, my perception was well, I'm wasting an extra 2 to 3 hours by sleeping. But now for me, it's okay, but if I'm not getting those hours, how well am I doing during the day?
Throughout the rest of the day.
So maybe I'm already wasting another 8 hours just because I didn't get enough rest. So my brain is impacted. And
and a lot of times too, I think that it's looked at by some people as a badge of honor. I can sleep 2 hours every night and I can function amazingly. I can go to work, kind of like when we were younger and in our young adults and teen, or maybe not teens, because teens need more sleep. But I remember as a young adult being going out with friends and sleeping 2 hours and getting up and going to work, no matter what.
And it was I only got 2 hours of sleep.
But I'm here and I can do this, I can function, I'm amazing, right? And we don't realize the toll that it takes on our bodies, and I think also just the serious problems of insufficient sleep and insomnia in America nowadays, like you were just saying, just in regards to how we hold ourselves to these crazy schedules.
It's so expected. It's it's to the point where people at work are giving bonuses to the employees to work extra hours. It's like this, you know, dangling this carrot in front of you. Just, but to me, it is kind of crazy, because the more hours of work that you want to get out of your employees, the less quality of work that you get from them. But yeah, I mean, that is for real. It's like, here, I'll give you another $1 or $5 an hour just to do some extra time. And then they know most people are like,
oh, they'll gravitate towards it. They'll absolutely take you up on that offer. Yes. I mean, we've all been there, done that.
I know it's, but the long-term impact is just, it can be really devastating. It really can. I think that on our health, physical and mental and emotional, because emotional falls in with the mental and physical health, because then I feel that we get impatient either with people at work or with family members, and then it causes emotional distress and then emotional stress, and it can be overwhelming. But today we're gonna talk a little bit about what we can do and how we can sleep better.
Yes, I actually, you know, it trickles over into every aspect of life. And I was actually looking up some statistics for today, because I was just really interested on some recent statistics. And I found that about 35% of all adults in the US report sleeping on average for less than 7 hours a night.
Oh, wow.
That's a huge number. And actually, anywhere from, and these are like 2000, I believe these were like 2018 statistics. So I'm curious to do a little bit more research and see, like, now after everything's before COVID and after COVID, but I'm curious to do a little more research and find out a little bit more about, you know, moving forward, about what the statistics are now, if anything has changed. I know that, like, the increase of people using, you know, melatonin in the past, you know, 10 or 12 years or so has increased dramatically as well. Not only for adults, but for children. And I think later on today, we're also going to talk a little bit about just what to look for in supplements if you're taking them, and just quality, and, you know, make sure that you're, you know, what you're buying, whether it be over the counter or through a website, that you're looking at, you know, the company, where it's coming from, the ingredients, because some of these things that are marketed nowadays can be very, you know, deceiving, or can have extra products or supplements in it that we're not even aware of.
It's just the quality of the quality control of what goes in it.
There you go, quality control. I know. I was trying to.
It is. It's really amazing, because, like, way back before I became more aware of it, I would always, like, figure, okay, if someone is gonna put something together and put it on the shelf to sell for us, it would be safe, right? But even, like, I mean, we get recalls even on pet food. Isn't it crazy? Like, and then there was one recently, what was it? I think it was either water or something, and it is the quality assurance of making sure by the time it gets to us as consumers, sometimes it's not always there. It's almost like, oh, what's the big deal? Yeah. Not that they say that, or maybe they do. Yeah. But it's like, oh, nobody's even gonna notice, you know, it's just a little bit of, but then you know, so yeah, the quality is so important, and just really finding the source that you can trust, and always ask questions. That's my biggest thing. Is always not to dig in, you know, not because I think that sometimes, I know for me it was, you know, I was afraid to ask questions, because then I am questioning the integrity of someone. But I like to let people know, like, now it's like, I'm questioning it because, you know, I want to take care of me and my family. It's not about, you know, not respecting you or not trusting you. It's just, okay, if everything is good, then you'll be able to show me the results, and you can answer my questions, and there's no problem there. So to become your own advocate, even when you're taking supplements or buying even food, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good comment that you brought up, because a lot of people have a hard time with bringing, that topic up, whether it be with, friends or providers, their doctor, or in any capacity, the pharmacy when they're picking up something, or even just, the store in general in life. And so it's really important. I agree with you to really focus on what your needs are and what's important to you, and that it's okay to question.
There's a song that came to mind that said, "To question is to grow."
That's a song?
There's that one of the lyrics in the song. To question is to grow. Like, that's how we grow, is to ask questions. And if you don't, you're stuck.
Absolutely.
I'll have to send you that link. I can't think of the name of the song right off, but it's on my inspirational list of songs that I have on my phone.
Oh yeah, you'll have to share that with me, and then maybe we can put it in the chat after in case anybody else wants to hear it.
Thank you for my Shaklee pomegranate. No, I keep calling it pomegranate. It's not
grapefruit.
Shaklee
tea.
Grapefruit. It really is very refreshing on this hot day out here.
I know. I was gonna say I'll be drinking my water a little bit more today on camera because it's getting warm. It's getting hot in here.
It's getting hot out here. And that's another song.
Yeah. Yes. I won't continue on those lyrics.
No.
But
okay.
So quickly, also before we get started, I just kind of wanted to review a little bit about recommended sleep times or hours from all of us, all the way from babies to adults and older adults, and some interesting facts too as well. So babies, beginning of life. I was actually surprised that it went up this high, but then thinking back, I'm like, oh yeah, babies do sleep that much when you so it's recommended 12 to 17 hours throughout the day, and then toddlers it's about 11 to 14 hours, and preschool age, once they start like preschool, maybe even kindergarten, and preschool, like that 3 to 5, 6-year-old age. It's recommended around 10 to 13 hours a night. And then once they get into elementary school, the range is a little bit more of 9 to 11 hours. And that really depends on, elementary school, middle school, high schoolers. There's different times in, the teenagers' lives where they need more. And that's one of the things that you notice, that school times change. So they start a little bit later because the teenagers tend to sleep in a little, not sleep in. Well, they do, but teenagers tend to stay up later, and then they kind of take that into account for starting school later.
Yeah.
So the other two facts that I wanted to share that I thought was really interesting as well is that 57% of middle schoolers and 72% of high schoolers get less sleep than recommended. And I was actually surprised with the high school one that was so high, but it makes sense. Like we were talking about before, our lives are busy and are crazy. And I think back of when I was growing up, and even our summers, I was talking to a friend the other day. It's like, oh yeah, we used to go to Maine or go to Italy in the summer and just vacation, and there was no question about like, oh wait, well, when do sports start again? Do they start after school? Do they start a couple of weeks before school start? Like they only have 3 or 4 weeks in between, or a break, or some kids go throughout the whole summer, depending on the sport. We really don't give ourselves enough downtime to, respect our bodies and what we need. And it's really, as adults, as parents, it's as mothers, as fathers, whoever's watching, it's really our responsibility to instill those habits from a very young age. So we can talk a little bit more about the needs and adults versus children. If anybody has any questions, feel free to chime in.
Janie
or
was
ask
on.
We can ask.
I don't know if she's still on. It's hard to tell on Facebook when they're actually still on or if they were. I don't know if you can tell. Hi, Janie, if you're still on. By the way, Janie's going to be on next week, so I'm really excited. So
yes, we're so looking forward to that. I think that's great.
So, but you were talking about all the activities that are now, it's almost like expected of us. And like I had mentioned earlier, about work, I think it's the same with our life, with the kids, like we're talking about the sports and all. It's really learning how to balance it. But for today's, especially, we're talking about how to get enough sleep, enough good sleep in.
Yes, tips on what to do and routines and habits to practice.
So that we can help moms and dads and parents and uncles and ourselves out there to make sure we're sleeping well, because it impacts also your immune system. We didn't mention that, but
absolutely.
So when your whole body physically is not doing well, talk about physical and mental and emotional well-being, part of the physical is your immune system. And it's almost like, I feel like your body says, okay, if you're not going to slow down, I'm going to make you slow down.
Yeah.
And then it just hits.
I don't know that in society we recognize nowadays or even realize how much sleep and stress have an effect on our bodies, our immune system, like you were saying, and just our overall health and well-being. And I know that we talk about this a lot and stress the importance of it a lot, but I don't know the statistics on this one, but I know that it's pretty high in regards to physical ailments and what that number is in relation to some of the main cause, like the cause and effect of stress and sleep on physical illnesses, ailments in general.
Because when you think about naturally, when we get sick, it's not that we get more energy and we want to run around. Like when you think about like what happens to us physically is we are made just like we want to sleep. We don't want to talk to anyone. We don't want to do it. Like it's almost like in most cases, it's like it slows us down for sure. So it's not like, I have a cold and, I'm all energized. It's like, I have a cold and I, like naturally it's like, I need that rest. But we try to fight that. So we find ways to, mask the symptoms so we can keep going and keep going and keep going.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But definitely need the rest. But you had some tips to share?
We can start with children. Healthy sleep practices for children, since we already talked about some of the ages and recommended sleep hours for babies up through teenagers. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of these are the same for children as they are for adults. Maybe a few different things here and there, or some topics that can be facilitated by the adult to help the child. But in general, the importance of having a set bedtime and bedtime routine for your child. So, really thinking about especially school, once school starts. Just having, they're waking up every morning early. So making sure that they have the adequate amount of time, depending on when your child starts school or daycare, whatever the situation is, making sure they have the adequate recommended time, whether it be the 10 hours or the 14 hours or the 9 hours. And also thinking about what works for you and your family, but knowing that the age differences in children, the age ranges, and really sticking to like, well, my teenagers is still up, but that's okay. Like my 9-year-old needs to get to bed and they need to, be respectful and be quiet. So and that way she can get
the rest that she needs.
Yes.
And I think that what's important also is to bring that up as a subject, because it's easy for the younger one to think, because my brother or my sister is older and they get the privilege of it, but to understand that our bodies are different. So it's not because you're just older and you're they're more special because they're older and they get to stay up late. It's more of this is what your body needs. So that will help us as we grow and mature, like, okay, there's a reason, not just because now I'm older I can stay up all night,
yes.
To make it clear why we're saying, okay, there's a bedtime, and not emphasize just because you're older, because in some cases it could sound more, it's like a privilege to stay up late, rather than understanding that our bodies need certain things. Like the baby is going to have the mother's milk to, to drink. And as we grow and develop, there's certain things that we need that are different, and not that it's good or bad. So it's not judged based on, now I'm older, I can not sleep anymore.
Well, and in that respect, it also transfers into, once school starts, that transfers into the weekend or vacations too. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we all go on vacations, we all stay up late on the weekends sometimes, but as long as it doesn't become, like you said, looking at it as a privilege, and where it's every single weekend, your kids are now staying up till 1 or 2 a.m., but they're still waking up early, because I definitely have 2 of those kids who, even if they stay up late, they're still up early in the morning, and then that kind of rolls over and affects the weekend, and then it starts making them tired once they go back to school on Monday. So it doesn't necessarily have to be as early as the school night, but taking that into account, like, do they, if they stay up late, do they still sleep in to make up for that time? And if they don't, really looking at, okay, this child's missing out on a lot of sleep because they still are an early morning person. And kind of adjusting your schedule in that respect, and knowing that life happens. And, you might go out, one night and stay up later. It's not, like I said before, it's more about, being consciously aware of the patterns. We've talked about before having like the 30 minutes or an hour before bedtime, where it's more of like a quiet time, no electronics. I believe we mentioned that earlier. Or no, actually, I think Adiva and I were talking about it before we even started the live stream, because I was just saying how, I was having personally, I was like, well, as we're getting ready to talk about sleep hygiene, I had a hard time falling asleep last night. I was hearing music upstairs with the girls hanging out, and I was like, oh, I'm going to turn on the TV to distract myself. And before I knew it, it was really late. And I was like, oh yeah, this is not working. I shut everything down, and kind of regain myself.
And with the routine, one of the things that worked really well for me, if I'm not able to sleep, instead of staying in bed and getting frustrated about not being able to sleep, is to get out of bed and go somewhere else. So then the connection with bed is always about, I'm going to go and sleep, instead of the frustration of like, I can't sleep. And then it just kind of changes the whole connection with being in bed to sleep and rest. So sometimes it's only like 15-20 minutes, get up, whether go to the living room, or if you have the room to yourself, you can have a chair or something, but get out of bed and then do some relaxing, don't get on the phone and do things that your mind will get all excited again and going, but just get out of bed. And usually within a few, even 30 minutes, but those 30 minutes are more important than being in bed and just tossing and turning and getting frustrated and all that. It's just like, okay, I can't sleep. It's okay. Let me get out, and then have some kind of routine as a backup. So, okay, if I can't sleep, I'm going to go do this, whether it's, meditation, prayer, listening to some relaxing music, whatever it is, and then go to bed. It's like, okay, now I'm ready for kind of like redo that bedtime routine over again.
Well, I love that you brought that up, actually, because it's also about, the negative versus the positive behaviors or outlook on going to sleep and what your routine is. But in the same respect, when it comes to children, being, even in regards to discipline around sleep, and making sure that it doesn't, getting into bed or going to your bed at night doesn't have a negative connotation to it, where it's, just being aware and paying attention of, like, disciplining, or you're in trouble, go to your bed and lay down for 10 minutes, and just really understanding that connection where, your bed and your bedtime routine should be a quiet, cozy, safe place, and trying to figure out if there's any connection with any sleep disturbances, or, trouble falling asleep with your children, or even yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally like breathing. I mean, if you don't sleep, we can't survive.
Yeah.
You can't go forever without that. But that's a huge point, because I never heard it put like that, but it does, don't create the bed and bedroom space as a punishment, quote unquote, kind of thing, or like, go do that too. And then, I mean, why not also, if a child is not able to sleep, instead of like, well, just stay there until you sleep kind of thing, is to help them come up with the routine. That was not to me, like, not judging it, but just learning from it, is that would be a good thing with younger kids, is to, it's like, hey mom, I can't sleep. Okay, well, here, when you can't sleep, let's do this. Let's get out of bed. Let's create this, whatever routine that your child would work for them the best. And then, so they can start doing that. It's like, I can't sleep. Let me go right here in that chair. I'll listen to music, whatever it is. But that would be really good to help them learn at a younger age.
Well, and sometimes it's something even as simple as like, they're going to bed and they can't sleep because you didn't realize that they're hungry because they actually missed dinner or didn't eat as much at dinner.
Right. Yeah.
And so the reason why they're having trouble falling asleep is because their tummies are grumbling. They just want that glass of milk, or like, an apple, or a light snack before bedtime. And you mentioned a little bit before about some foods for adults that help with, before bedtime, and obviously paying attention to like no heavy meals within an hour or two before bedtime, whatever that bedtime may be. So really helping the child understand, what are they actually feeling, and being mindful about like, well, can they not sleep because, they're restless? And then like growing pains is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I really didn't even realize that until I started having kids. It's like, wow, kids really do have, quote unquote growing pains.
Yeah.
Their legs, they're growing, they're stretching, and sleep all ties into that as well. Yeah. Sleep and rest. And I'm gonna bring up the topic of co-sleeping, because I'm a huge advocate for it. I love like sleeping with my kids, always have when I have the opportunity to. I know it's not for everyone. There's pros and cons to both, depending on what works for your family.
I don't know. I might say it's for everyone.
Well,
I think in our culture, we think it's not for everyone. But when you think about the reality of it, now I believe in it. Like before, because my upbringing was like, put them in the crib, let them cry it out, they'll figure it out. I'm like, no, I mean, your child is not gonna be 85 crawling in bed with you, right? Like, it's not gonna, once they're so. I don't know. I'm gonna disagree with you about it's not for everyone, but maybe there's some cases where if you're sick or whatever. But anyway,
well, I was gonna say in my eyes, the only cons that I see about it, and I know that this is a delicate topic, is more along the lines of like, if you're not getting enough sleep because your child is like disturbing your sleep, or they're a mover or a kicker, or nightmares that are keeping you up at night, and you have to wake up and go to work. But it's also okay to like get a little mattress or something and put it like on the floor next to your bed, especially with young children that are having a hard time falling asleep.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm going through this thing right now. I'm gonna share some feelings here.
Okay.
I'm going through this thing right now personally, because those of you who may or may not know, my husband is is an Army National Guard, and he's not here right now, but he also works a lot of overnights. And so my youngest is 9, and she sleeps with me a lot when he's not home. And my kids grew up like sleeping with me if they wanted to. I always encouraged it and invited it. And so I've noticed the past month or so, she's starting to say like, oh, I'm gonna start sleeping in my bed more, even though Papa's not here. I'm gonna start sleeping in my bed because school's starting soon. I have to make sure I stay on my schedule for sleep. She understands this. She's processing this. So she's like, I'm gonna try. So she tried a couple of nights, and still like my bed or her bed, switching back and forth. And now she's fully like, nope, I'm sleeping in my bed every night. Like, she has found this comfortable zone. We moved around her bedroom, like she created her space. And now I'm kind of like, oh, I'm not gonna lie, I miss sleeping with her. Yeah. You know, I miss we crave, as humans, we crave that.
Yeah.
It's in our nature to crave that, you know, that safety, that comfort, that love, that bond. So like I said, whether or not it is for everyone, it really depends on your situation and you know, and what works for you. But I think it's, like you said, bringing it alive and back to our culture as it doesn't have to be abnormal. It doesn't always have to be about like what's that word that they say when, like, sleep training,
right?
Which is not a bad thing. I just want to reiterate that.
It's finding that balance and really knowing. It's fine, because I was talking when I was interviewed on Janie's podcast the other day. We talked about and I'm pretty sure we talked about that also, is setting boundaries. Mm-hmm. Not only about what people are doing to you, like physically type of abuse, but setting boundaries on what people's opinions are.
Yes.
And that is so powerful, because you start listening to and we talked at other lives, we talked about our gut feeling, mm-hmm. you know, and how to cut out all that noise from the outside and like really listen to our, you know, our instinct, mm-hmm. and not put so much weight on what people are gonna think. And how to balance that, how to like, you know, that this is what's good for me and my family. But then, you know, mom comes in, or the neighbor comes in, or, you know, the best friend comes in, or the sister comes in. It's like, no, you can't do that to your child. You gotta make them, you know, cry themselves to sleep so they can find a way to soothe themselves. And you know, honestly, way back then, I always had this like, in my stomach, what do you mean just let them go to, you know, cry themselves to sleep, like, and then like my, you know, my, what do you call it, like conscious mind's like, okay, well, maybe they know better, maybe, you know, I need this. So it's just really learning how to listen to our instinct that we have. I think as a society, it's almost like we're pushed away from connecting with that. And I love how you said that. It's so true. As humans, we thrive on connection and being close, and that, you know, having that good energy compared to just being alone all the time. It's like, you know, we crave it, we miss it.
We do. And it's funny you say that, because you know, on a related topic, I once had a friend say to me, go in? Oh, the doggies?
Yeah. No?
Yeah, they can go in. Okay. The doggies are whining in the background.
And
they hear the kids waking up.
Sorry, and then they probably want to come back out now.
You know, also, I think it's also very important to, like you just said, the whole concept of don't judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. You know, I once had a friend say to me, and not in a negative way, but it was mostly geared around, you know, before I met you outside of your home, I had this like vision of you, or this
this picture of who you are, like
who you are, because of like what you do, what your husband does, where you live, what kind of house you have. She's like, and then I walked into your home the first time and saw you around your family, and how like comforting you are and loving, and like you're always kissing your kids, and just like the emotions and the family and the togetherness. And she was like, and it totally blew my mind. Like it totally changed like my outlook on what I thought you were, and she put it in a little bit different words, but that was the concept. And I was like, oh, thanks. You didn't think you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah.
You're like, you're thinking of this cold person. Like, I don't, you know, like everything is like.
Yes. Anyway, long story short, I was like, yeah, that's so true, and we do that a lot in society. You know, whether it be, you know, one end of the spectrum or the other. I think we also have to, you know, keep that open mind.
Right.
So,
yeah.
different families, different schedules. And I talk about this all the time. I'm not a Monday through Friday kind of girl, 9 to 5. So I'm definitely a lot more productive in the afternoon and the evenings than I am in the morning. So you know what? It's totally okay that I don't go to bed until like 11, 12 or whatever, because a lot of times that's my time to like decompress. As long as I know that I don't have to be up until, 8 or 9 o'clock that next morning. But I have to I have to make a conscious effort when I know that I have to be, especially once school starts, I'm going to have to get back onto like, all right, I got to go to bed a little bit earlier because we got to be up at, 6:30 and get the day going. And sometimes your schedules change. We talked a little bit about, I guess caffeine. We can talk really quick about caffeine. Caffeine and being aware of, how your body works, how your body functions. I believe it usually takes about 4 or 5 hours for kind of like the half-life of caffeine, I guess, is and how much is left in your system. I know I can always tell if I end up having like an afternoon coffee now. I can tell I'm a little bit more restless at night. So that also relays onto, kids and what they're eating or drinking, in the evenings and before bed.
And that caffeine, not only as coffee, but as all the energy drinks that are
energy drinks and soda and even like extra sugar. Some of those sodas with extra sugar also have a lot of caffeine. So it's not always just about like one thing in particular, just looking at the whole of what's affecting it.
And I really believe that there are many people that are not aware of how it impacts their sleep because they're drinking their coffee or their energy drinks and all that during the day. Mm-hmm. So even though they're at work until, say, the average person working 9 to 5, they're drinking it after lunch because they're feeling sleepy. I don't think that everyone is making that connection that even that coffee that early in the morning is going to impact your sleep at night, because depends on what the drink was, but the way that it's like, I'm just having it for my afternoon,
pick me up,
but it impacts your sleep that night. So,
and there's also a difference between like the difference in caffeine and a good clean energy drink,
right,
or caffeine versus
I do like the energy products, which actually one of the things that really made me look into it some more. So some vitamins are included in there to help, because you can be wide awake and your mind can be like kind of sleeping, right?
Yes.
Like, so the awareness and the focus and all that can also not be there if you're just giving yourself caffeine. So I really appreciate the research and the studies that they've done to add, like some bees in there, and there, I don't know what all is, but it also helps with focus. So it's not, you're not just like wide awake, but your mind is like a zombie.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the flip side of that, your body could be exhausted and your mind is like going.
Right. Yeah. Gotta make sure you get that rest.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing.
Trying to think. I think we've gone over most of them, like, the basics, finding out like the right temperature for your room, the sunlight. I know sometimes people don't like to have their room really dark and cozy to go to sleep. But it's also very helpful to have, the shades open so the sun's coming in the morning and keeping you, getting that sunlight in open or to help you to start waking up.
Right.
Those are some other tips as well, which can be particularly hard, especially for people who work like overnights or different schedules or 12-hour
or different
shifts.
part of the world.
Or
talking to my niece in
right.
Alaska, it's tough. It's just knowing and finding the best things for you is, if it's gonna be dark 24 hours, or if it's light 24 hours, it's tougher on the body, but finding the routines that help you with that. Aromatherapy is one of the things that are really good also, that you can
like using lavender, essential oils. Is there anything in particular that you like to?
Yeah, I think lavender is a good one. I have some oils that are mixtures and I have to look at what they are. But I usually tell people find something that you can tell. Like when you smell it, you're like, oh, I'm really calm, right? Because there's some that are, I think of oils as having their energy, right? So like when you put them on and when you smell them, you can get more ready to go, energized, or it can give you a sense of like, oh, I'm really calm. But lavender has been really well known for helping with calming and great for babies also. So
absolutely. Yeah. I actually really like eucalyptus as well.
Yeah, I do like that.
For calming and for sleep. I know some people like it for an energizing effect, but for me, energizing is more of like, oh, there's the dog again. Like peppermint, for me is a smell that like really like wakes me up and energizes.
And I heard that's a good one for headaches, just to kind of throw that one in there.
Yeah, really so many different uses.
It's good. But we're talking about I had this thought as you were talking about the different aromas is you come back to me, but
and just being aware of like if you don't love essential oils, you can definitely dilute it. Like there's so many products out there now too that you
that's what I was gonna
make into like a spray or put it. I know Deepa's done like the little rollers.
Yeah.
You can use a diffuser, whatever works for you.
The quality of it.
Yes.
Same like we were talking about the supplements. Find the source. If nothing else, I mean, I've done it where I've taken like lemons and apples and cinnamon and put in a kind of like a potpourri thing and just allowing that scent to, but definitely make just like we talked about the supplements, make sure that you question the source and dig in and find out, because there can be a lot of artificial, we're so advanced in science, we can make something that
we can make anything.
And then some people are very sensitive to just any scent, which is okay too. There's always the exceptions and just be aware of that. Like if something just makes you more hyper or gives you a headache, it's not like, okay, they said lavender is good for sleep. I have to go, like.
Oh, I know. I actually, that's so true. Because I actually had bought like a little set of essential oils before. And one was like focus. The other one was like, I don't know. I forget what they were worded, but I just remember that focus one. I was like, every time I put it on, I was like, I cannot focus with this whatsoever. The smell, and it's giving me a headache. Yeah, this doesn't work for me. I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, but I remember having that strange, like, woo, this is not okay. I don't like this.
Yeah. And then a sleep diary and apps and coaching. And that's something that is really, the sleep diary, you can see. And now we have the apps and things that can monitor that for you. But it shows it like, I had the pizza before I went to sleep on Sunday and look what happened. Or, things like that. To just not just when you fell asleep and when you woke up, but to really diary the life around it and see when, and it could be an event. I went to a wedding, I had a friend pass away or something, and see how all that impacts and what. Or, I used the essential oils, or I got out of bed and I did that instead. And just to really keep track of that. And then coaching, like, yourself and they can contact us and we can coach them through it. Just having someone there to, holding accountable in a good sense and bringing awareness to what to look at, and being able to coach you and guide you through the process to get to a point where you're able to sleep better.
Well, I think the main thing to take from that also is, sometimes, difficulty sleeping or sleep hygiene has nothing to do with sleep. It has to do with everything that you do between the waking hours of when you're not sleeping.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the most important thing to really drive home today is like all of these tips that we're giving you, just start to look at. And I love how you also said about the sleep diary, even if you're not writing things down, like, our phones, our watches, everything. There's so many different things that can track that.
Yeah.
And can be helpful for kids too. Like you might not even know how restless you are or they are at night, and that they're actually, waking up several times, even if they're not physically waking up, rolling out of bed and going to the bathroom, but they might just be waking up and falling back to sleep. So that's one of the really good things about the tracking.
And going to the bathroom, as you mature in age, sometimes you have to watch when is the last time, what time you drink your last of your water, to just drink it early enough so you can, take a shower or bath, whatever your routine is, and make sure that, you go to the bathroom before, because that comes up a lot. I mean, I've heard it often. It's like, man, I gotta get up and go to the potty.
Yes. You know what's funny about that is that, okay, so if you know me, you know that I like go to the bathroom like every hour. It's just, I don't know if this is TMI or whatnot, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is just, it's who I am. It's my body. It actually has nothing to do with like before or after having children, because I've always been like that since I was younger. And always like road trips, like, can we stop again? I gotta go pee. So there was a point in my life as a young adult, and I was like, man, I need to get on medication for this. Like, I need to learn how to like control this, because it really does take you, like, thinking about it can be very stressful to think about, like, where is the closest rest stop or place or whatever. Anyway, long story short, the reason why I'm saying this and the quality and quantity is also because not only may you not realize it, but you might be paying attention to it so much that you're having difficulty not focusing on it. So, the medication actually ended up making it worse, because I was too full. I was cramping. It was like, wasn't enough for what my body actually needed, until I realized, like, okay, I just need to listen to my body and go with the flow.
With the flow.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is, like, you can kind of hyper focus on something so much that you don't even realize that.
And talking about, I mentioned as we get older, because also the hot flashes can impact some of us, is one thing that I read about that was pretty cool, is to keep some ice next to you, or a towel in the ice to stay cold. So whenever you experience the change in temperature, then you can cool down a little bit quicker and just have it available right there. So you're not getting, because you would do it and go right back to sleep if it's right there and it's there, and you can just, your body can stay relaxed. And also there are sheets that help with controlling the temperature, as far as not sweating too much and keeping it cool.
And sometimes even just the mental aspect of knowing that that's there by your bedside will help decrease the like emotional reaction to it. And you might even start to see that you don't even end up
using it
or needing it, but just the comfort of knowing that it's there if I do.
Yeah.
And how much that mind-body connection of like, oh wow, like if I just make this little change,
it makes a big difference. Yeah. Your mind, then it goes back to your mind is relaxed.
Yes.
And not stressed over it. And that's the big thing, is becoming very mindful. And if you're stressed, your body can't rest, and you're gonna be, even if you're kind of sleeping, you're still not resting, because your mind is going and you're stressed over things.
Well, what was that quote? I wrote it down actually, that quote last week. It doesn't have to do with you can't breathe out without ever breathing in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking to Julie last week about that. It's like, you can't keep breathing out, you have to breathe in. I like that too. It's so true. You can just like keep giving and giving and giving, and then you gotta take a time to slow down and take a deep breath in. We can chat a little bit about the food that we could eat, which was really helpful. Do you see somebody?
We said we were gonna maybe keep it a little bit shorter because it's hot out here.
I know,
but it's getting ready. It's like 11 o'clock, so we could definitely start to
wrap it up. Some good food to eat. So find out, like, lean protein and complex carbohydrates are some things that you can eat before bedtime that will help you with sleeping better. So to stay away from caffeines and the sugars, like we were talking about. But the lean protein, it could be tofu, roasted turkey and salmon. Those are some proteins that you can eat. And then for the complex carbohydrates is lentils. I love lentils.
I love lentils too.
Man.
That's so good.
Now I heard something I haven't looked into it much talking about because I like lentils and rice. Is when you cook rice and you let it cool down first, it changes the carbohydrate complex in there. So I have to research that some more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
So we'll make a note into that. And then out there, whoever's listening, check that out. It's like, it was rice and pasta, I think. So you let it cool down first. So anyway, a note to look deeper into that. Sweet potatoes.
That must be true with the pasta. I'm gonna boost up because I don't ever remember as an Italian or being in Italy eating pasta when it was really hot.
Oh.
It was always like
cool down,
room temperature, or or not necessarily cold, but just not like, all right, the food is ready, hurry up, it's nice and piping hot, let's eat it. Yeah,
it's interesting. Well, and then sweet potatoes, I love sweet potatoes. So those are another good complex carbohydrate. And quinoa. All those I like. I mean, I can imagine lentils with quinoa and a little bit of sweet potato mix.
Oh yes,
it'd be so good.
Like a regular bedtime snack. That's so interesting. I'd never heard of that before, so I'm really glad we're talking about this.
And you mentioned earlier about maybe you're hungry or your kids are hungry and that's why they can't sleep. It's not only like if they didn't eat enough or didn't eat at all for dinner, but how much activity they had. Because when you think about it, we need the food for energy and of course to build healthy cells and all that. But if they've had a busy day and it's like, here, this is your normal meal serving and that's all they get, it's not that they didn't eat what they normally eat, but they need more because of all that they've been doing, what kind of data to keep that in mind also. It's like, okay, has your child just run 20 miles in track and you're like, you're still feeding them the same serving as, and then we can just quickly cover the supplements that
supplements that we love. Yeah.
See, this is the chewable. Have you had those, or do you take the regular?
I take the regular. I'm not a huge fan of the
chewables.
Yes.
The other one I haven't. I should open it.
Yes.
I do love them. At first, I didn't like them because of like I got brainwashed with this chalky tasting, but they're not as chalky, I would say.
Yeah. I love the chewable vitamin C.
Oh no, those are like
they're like little sweet.
Should we make?
You're gonna make me have one.
Do you want to
go? Yeah, sure. You see my reaction on camera.
But I don't know if you tried, because I think this is like a new formula.
I haven't tried it.
If you don't chew it right away, like if you suck on it, it has it. If you chews it right away. But it has a good. I don't know what the flavor is.
It's not actually. It's been a few years since I've tried it.
It's different than
it's not as chalky. It's not as bad. So, all right. Good review. A+. I have to add it to my shopping list.
I'm gonna hear it after the show. Tanya, we're like, don't you ever do that to me again?
No, I would tell you if I really didn't like it, because there are certain things that like I take the I guess the pill version of that.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of the chewable.
Please try again.
I'm sorry, Siri.
Siri's not. That's too funny. So definitely, because it's funny, because remember how many of us heard, a glass of milk before you go to bed?
Yes.
When you read about it, calcium, it's the calcium that's in there. So it's not all that processed milk anymore.
Yeah.
But it's the calcium in there that actually has an impact on the calmness and great for growing pains.
I was just going to say, and the magnesium as well is really good for restless legs, growing pains, and helping to calm that.
And cramps, leg cramps for as we get older, and a lot of cramping in the legs, that's really good for that. Is having more
it's telling us
calcium.
that our body is missing something.
Yeah,
or is needing something.
Definitely water for cramps too.
Yes,
because it's when you get dehydrated. I mean, you really don't realize your body's dehydrated until
it's really dehydrated.
Yeah. And you have the symptoms, your foggy mind and the cramping and just the tiredness. And then this one, it's I don't know when it came out, but it's one of the newer ones.
The new labeling, stress relief.
It is the stress relief. I was thinking
the Dream Serene
is the one. Yeah, this one is a really and it has what are the main herbal?
Melatonin, and does it have St. John's?
I don't know if that one has St. John's. I can't read that small, even with my glasses. But talking about St. John's, I take the mood lift. And I love that.
You're right. It's the mood lift that has that.
John's,
my bad.
And it has there are two.
Oh, the valerian extract. Valerian. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, melatonin and the valerian extract.
And those are great.
L-theanine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are really good, and they're great for ADHD. Yeah. And they're great for like anxiety and. So there are a lot of benefits, but those are the ones that I don't know if there are any other ones that you take specifically to help with sleep that you can think of.
No, I usually just focus on the supplements like the calcium and magnesium and the Dream Serene. Yeah. But I do have to say that the stress relief complex is like a lifesaver.
Oh, can you read the ingredients on that?
Yeah.
Because there was something in there that someone was telling me about. It's like, it's in there.
Ashwagandha root extract, the L-tyrosine and L-theanine. So those of us that have a lot of like tension, stress, anxiety, these actually work really well to help ease the nervous system and kind of help down regulate and really focus on like the task at hand and kind of take away that little bit of like, you get that like shortness of breath for anxiety or that jitteriness or shaky because you're stressed out about something. I don't think that you will really understand the effect of it until you try it.
Yeah.
How amazing it has been. And we've got some great research on this as well, right, if you're interested in learning more.
Yeah, I mean, with Shaklee, it's to a point now. I used to hear that when I first was introduced to Shaklee, people were like, I've been using it for 30-some years. Yeah. And then my reaction was like, well, maybe it's working for you, but I don't know, but now I'm at a place, I've been using it for over 30-some years, and I'm like, the quality and the whole vision. I mean, I always get that, and I have from day one that it's about selling the products and about giving people financial freedom and there's a business opportunity, but just the foundation is about physical health, about the environmental health and the mental health and well-being in there, and all the science is about how can we really help people support them in living well, and making healthy happen. It's not about here, just take that. It's really to supplement a healthy lifestyle. And that's what I want. I mean, the big thing that I appreciate about Shaklee is that they're still following Dr. Shaklee's dream from the beginning. And it's not about, here, you take these vitamins and you're good to go. It's like, here, eat well, sleep well, exercise, hang around positive people, work on your mental outlook, find a positive in things. And those are supplements to kind of fill in the gap. And I think more and more today, we need to fill in a huge gap in our nutritional.
Well, and I think it's really important that you mentioned that. It's about filling in the gap, not
being the source, right?
Or not being the main source of your health and nutrition. And health and nutrition, mental well-being, wellness, however you want to say it, comes in all different shapes, forms, sizes. And I think we're starting to realize that a little bit more in this culture, in this day and age.
We're going back to it.
We're taking baby steps.
We're ready for it. So anyone out there that is ready to live well naturally and really connect with their
These dogs, they
I
just
know,
want to
he's
go
so
in and
cute.
out all day.
I was hugging my dog today, so this is a good therapy also.
Yeah.
Pets are good for you. Well, let's go take a nap.
Yes, I know, right? It's 11:11. On that note,
Okay, oh,
we
that's
started
awesome.
at 10:10. It's 11:11, right?
Oh wow. And we talked about doing a short one, and here we are.
Perfect timing. I know.
But thanks for watching.
Yes.
Tanya, it was really good to be here with you in person.
Oh, it was really good too.
Hug.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you guys for all hanging out, and we will
See you
See you
next
next
time
week.
and make sure you watch us live or the rebroadcast, because Janie will be with us next week.
Yes.
And we have Jennifer. Hey Jennifer. So Jennifer is the daughter of one of my bosses in the military when I was in the Air Force.
Oh,
That's
that's
good.
pretty cool.
That's
That's
crazy.
amazing.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next time on 1010 Talks.
Bye.
Bye. Looking forward to the next 1010 Talks, and we'll see you then. Go out there and step into the best you. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.